Hey guys, thank you again for joining us. This is the Entrepreneurial Blueprint Podcast. My name is Dr. Jake Latimer. I have a special guest here today, Anthony Heckman.
Yeah, thank you.
If you've tuned in before, you know what we're all about. We want to provide good content out there to kind of help you along the way. And Anthony, I know you'll attest to this. We didn't pay you to come on the show or anything like that.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're just blessed that you're here listening to us today. Hopefully you can garner a little bit of insight into entrepreneurship and what it really takes to take your company or yourself to the next level. And you can find some inspiration along the way. Anthony, let me start the questions off with this.
Yeah.
Can you share the journey that led you into being a distinguished real estate broker?
Man, it's a long one, right? You know, you're self-employed, you know, the ups and downs and the highs and lows and the, you know, what it takes to start off with. You know, I come from the southeast side of Houston, born and raised.
We were talking about that, Pasadena.
Yeah. And so my mom, you know, 6 sisters and a brother, and, you know, my mom was pretty much a single mother for a long time. My dad was in and out for, you know, various reasons. And, you know, I just saw the struggle, and I just saw that there was more out there than just, you know, living in Section 8, you know, while I was in high school and living in and out of hotels because just money was tight, you know, and we didn't have it like that. And so I always wanted something more and figured out that hard work just shines above all, you know. I had a really bumpy road to get to where I'm at now. You know, I was in and out of jail for a couple of years and kind of followed in my dad's footsteps for a little bit.
Sure.
And just learned that this isn't what it's cracked up to be, right? This I don't want to say low level life is I mean, it means nothing, right? Like there's more. And so it was a long journey, and it was a lot of long nights, man, but it's been the most fulfilling thing I've ever done. You know, there's friction every day, and that excites me.
Yeah. I mean, I know from my perspective, and I'm sure you and I share this, a lot of commonalities in this is there's really no days off.
No.
You know, what I like to tell people all the time, the difference between an entrepreneur and someone who's striving for success or striving for the best is the difference between a personal computer and a server.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
You know, like an employee, you might work your butt off for 10, 12 hours a day. But for Anthony and myself, we might have our highs and lows, just like a server, but we never go off. We're running
switched on.
Yeah, 24 hours a day.
Yeah, and it's like a blessing and a curse, right? You know, because I can't enjoy vacations because my mind's just always like, let's work, let's get after it, right? Let's hustle, and you know, but.
Oh yeah, my wife gets on me every time. We just
100%.
Yeah. But you know what? I think that it defines us, and you know, people ask me like, Jake, when are you going to retire? I don't know if I'll ever retire, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And it won't be about the money, right? It's just something that drives you. It's that inner fuel per se.
100%.
And I think when you embrace the journey more so than, you know, where you're going to end up, right?
Yeah.
Because I always put it like this, right? When I'm on my deathbed, or I'm at the end of my life, right? And everybody has an expiration date.
Yeah.
And I start reflecting on my life. You know, you're going to think about the people that came across your life.
Absolutely.
You're going to think about the life experiences. You're not going to think about the car that you bought. You're not going to think about the house that I mean, the house that becomes a home because your wife and your family.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. But you're going to think about the journey.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to think about in business, the pitfalls that you had and how stressful you were during a time and how you kind of probably blew that one out of proportion. And you survived and, you know, and it's perseverance and it's persistence.
100%. And that's the challenge that gets me excited every day is that it's on you every single day. Like if we're not going out and getting it, it's not going to be gotten for us. It's not. Right. And so, you know, if I'm not hustling, I'm not making money. You know, and to your point earlier, you know, there's a lot of false finish lines. And I definitely have had several of those. Like, when I get here, I'm going to be set. Then you get there and you're like, oh man, I still haven't even scratched the surface, right? Like what's going on here? And so, you know, a lot of those things that I think this is good for the generations that's coming up next is, man, it's not about the stuff, right? It is about the journey. It's about what you learn. It's about the challenges. It's about the person that you become and have to become, right? You
grow. Right. I remember years ago, I had a good friend and he was really growing in his profession and he started having a little bit of marital issues. And his wife comes in one day and says, "You've changed." And I said, "Well, that's a good thing, actually.
Yeah.
You should embrace that." Right. And, and, you know, we're not trying to say you want to get arrogant or anything like that, but you should grow as an individual. You 1,000%. Should mature, right? You should mature in your business. You should mature as an adult. And you you view life differently, right?
Well, you have to, right? If you're going to scale in any sort of business or in life, you have to scale out of the things that made you that person then to be the person that you need to be for tomorrow, right? And I've definitely had some of that thrown in my face over the years, especially with the group of people that I grew up with. A lot of them are still doing the same exact things we were doing back in the day and running the streets, and some are in and out of jail. And I see them on unfortunate occasions when somebody's done something right, and then it's like, oh man, you've changed up, you've switched up on us. It's like, yeah. I had to. Yeah. I had to evolve. It's evolution, right? And I've had mentors that have come to me before in the past. It's like, well, where you been? I haven't seen you in a while. And it's like, well, I kind of outgrew your mentorship. I think that's part of the process, right?
Absolutely.
And that's no knock to any of my mentors. I've had some phenomenal mentors in my life by far. But yeah, I think you have to evolve, you have to grow, and you have to scale, because the person I am today is not going to be the person who conquers tomorrow's problems.
You can't be.
It's just not feasible, right? Yeah. And so, it's a fun ride though.
So, you've been in real estate for over a decade now. Why real estate?
Man, I grew up with an authority complex. Okay. Who are you to tell me what I can and can't do, right? I knew I was going to work for somebody. That's just not my mentality. And I saw my mom be self-employed, and I saw my grandmother be self-employed when I was younger, and the freedom and flexibility that offered. And so, man, I'm out of jail one time, and this is a long story. And I'm in downtown Houston because I had to go see my attorney. And I popped into this coffee shop, and this young cat with all these tattoos comes in, snazzy suit, slick car. And I'm like, man, what do you do for a living? Because I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing, right? I'm fresh out of jail. I'm trying to hustle, right? And he was like, I'm a real estate agent. You got time to sit down and talk? And I was like, yeah, I absolutely have time today. Yes, I'll make time today. And that one brief 15-minute cup of coffee that I had with this guy changed my entire life. I signed up for real estate school like 2 or 3 weeks later. And because I signed up for school, my case, the judge reduced my charges and everything. And it all pretty much just got tossed away for probation and everything. And he's like, you're going to school? I'm like, yes. I started on, this was a Wednesday I had court. I'm like, yes, I go tomorrow to get my transcripts, and not my transcripts, but my schedule. And he's like, okay, well, I'll see you Friday then with your receipts. And so I came in Friday, and he reduced everything down to just a little peon charges. And I started to turn myself in, do a little bit of time, but nothing crazy, nothing like a couple months. It was like literally no time. And I started real estate school the moment I got out, and I've never looked back.
That's a beautiful story. And Anthony, I'm so glad that you came on the show today, because that's what we hope to do for you guys as well. Just give you that little sliver, right? If you're watching one of our little short chopped up videos or whatever, right? If we can be inspiration to help change the community in a positive way, I mean, we're doing God's good work right there.
Yeah. No, I wish I don't even remember the guy's name, unfortunately. I wish I could give him a hug or
go ahead, thank him for it.
Like just whatever, right? Like that guy 1000% changed my life. And then I started to value kind of mentorship from there, right? Because at the time, again, I was a young punk. I had no guidance, Who are you, right? You can't tell me shit. And so, but part of that stubbornness is what has allowed me to be the person I am today and have done what I've been able to do. Because when you get into a tough situation, like we were talking about earlier, this is not going to define me. Nope. That stuff didn't. So watch me beat this, right? But that's the ride, and
So the next question I was going to ask you, outside of that, any other things, any other early experiences you think maybe shaped your real estate?
Man, I didn't really have any jobs. Never really worked. I sold weed and hustled, right? And so the fast cash, and like the persistent hustle and grind. If you're not working, you're not making money type thing. And so that's kind of what I learned from that is just, I think that's where I got the hustle from, but nothing really shaped that. It was just like, I can sell. Yeah. I know people very well. Yeah. And I like to listen and genuinely get to know people. Yeah. And then it just kind of spawned from there.
I got you. With a career spanning investment, real estate, residential transactions, and commercial deals, how have you navigated these diverse market segments?
Education, education, and great mentors, right? Being able to be coachable, from someone who's doing it, right? We talked earlier, I don't have a college degree. I don't, I have like 12 college hours, right? It just wasn't for me. And that's what I liked about real estate. It was like on the job every day. You're learning something new. You're having to think critically every day. Yeah. And and you have to take a lot of classes to get licensed. You have to take a lot of classes to keep your license. And even to become a broker, you have to have 900 hours of education. And so that was just, as I started taking more and more classes, I started wrapping my head around a lot more different concepts. I've taken classes at Harvard Business School online, through the CCIM, which is in essence, it's a real estate, master's in real estate finance-ish. And just learning as much as I can to be the sharpest sword that I can be for my clients. Yeah. Right. And then I've had some mentors in my life who are greater men than I'll probably ever be and will forget more than I'll ever know. And they've just, for whatever reason, instilled their knowledge into me. And so I've been able to do the same for others now.
Very nice. Very nice. So when there's fluctuations in the real estate market, what do? You gotta be chameleon-like a little bit?
For sure. Yeah. You have to adapt, right? Yeah. You have to, what is it? Adapt, respond, pivot, or whatever and that's the name of the game every day, right? Whether it's the market, a specific transaction, interest rates are high. What do we do now? Right. Money's not as cheap as it was. What do we do now? Right. Yeah. And good markets, bad markets, deals still get done. Yeah. So how, one, do you position yourself in those groups of individuals? Mm-hmm. And two, how do you be the resource for those individuals and know what to do and how to move? And you just have to adapt.
And I think that's with all business, to be honest with you, 100%. Right? The landscape is constantly changing. Yeah. So you have to be adaptive in nature. Just like Anthony said, you have to be able to pivot. You have to be chameleon-like. You can't be so tunnel vision and think that, everything's done a specific way. Oh. It's not. Like, I don't care who the person is. Right. Personalities matter, right? Yeah. Certain people you can work with, other people you cannot work with. You have to be able to adapt. Yeah. You have to be able to understand. I always, if I'm meeting a prospect or something like that, I want to learn as much about them before I actually even sit down with them. So I can be on their common ground and get to know them. Right. There's a little bit of research that goes into what you're saying, whether it's a property, whether it's a client, what's the commonality, right? Where can you actually genuinely help, right? Yep. And I have clients who are like, we need to do this right now today. I'm like, I don't have any data. I'll call you tomorrow when I can speak accurately to this, right? Don't ask me to tell you what I think about a property or an investment when you just sent me the numbers. And so, but yeah, it's just, adapting, being a chameleon. I mean, at the end of the day. And I think at the end of the day, when people do business with people, they want to make sure that they're professional. They want to make sure that they can do the work. Yeah. And they want to make sure that they can relate with those individuals. Right? Yeah. If you think about doctors out there, you can have the most brilliant doctor, but he has terrible bedside manners, right? Yeah. You're not going back to that guy, are you? Yeah. Yeah. That's why engineers don't do too good in people businesses, because, the engineer brain doesn't, that doesn't really translate well. For sure, right? So, they're numbers people. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so, which is funny because you're the numbers guy and you're very charismatic too. Well, so you got the best of both worlds there. I appreciate that. Good for you. But no, that's the thing I think that is so really cool about entrepreneurship. Yeah. Is that it's ever changing, right? It's not boring. You can be in an industry and, in our firm, right, we do a lot of accounting and tax work, and that can be very mundane and boring work. I get it. Right. but when you actually help somebody grow an organization, when I do a lot of fractional CFO work, okay. And I help take these companies that are doing $2-3 million a year in revenue, and we're taking them to $10 to $20 million a year in revenue. Yeah. It's so rewarding, not just monetarily, but it's so rewarding to know that you've created so many jobs in the community. Yeah. Like, you've changed people's life. You've created more stability within those organizations. Absolutely. And, I know when I go into those situations, I mean, there's so much even that I learn from them in those industries. Yes, absolutely. Right? Like, I bring my financial knowledge, but I learn more about those industries than I ever thought I ever would have. So I gain just as much back in return. Yeah. Commercial real estate is very similar. You know, I mean, the first industrial deal that I ever did, I don't know anything about overhead cranes or high voltage power or welding machines, right? But you get in there and you start to learn these things, one, because it's going to make you better for the next deal, right? And then two, you're able to speak to your clients when you meet them. It's like, okay, you guys are a fab shop. How much power do y'all need? Yep. Do you guys need overhead crane? And so it just, that evolution of learning these things it comes full circle. Then you build these great relationships with these people, and you see their business scale, and that you had a thumb on that, and you become a trusted advisor. Yeah. And I will tell you this, Anthony, I know you've probably dealt with this as well, because what made me think of this right there when you talked about the cranes and all that is, clients will come to me and they want advice on this, that, or something else that's not even related to our business. Right. I can't give that information to them. I can't help them, but as a trusted advisor and as a fiduciary, I just try to put them with the best people that I can.
Right.
Right. And, you know, and I always tell everybody, I'm like, hey, we don't take a rake on anything. If I recommend you, I recommend you. I don't want referral fees.
Yeah, I'm not getting a kickback.
I don't, you know, I just, from my experience, and I normally give, you know, 2 or 3 referrals. Because you got to find who works best for them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you know, the one thing you mentioned a second ago is the fiduciary that gets lost a lot here recently.
It does.
You know, everybody wants the pat on the back and the under the table payment because I referred you to this broker or this construction company. And it's like, mate, if I refer you business, it's because I think you're going to work well together and you're going to get business out of it. And if you take me to dinner, cool. Like, it's not, there's no, you know, it's to help you. And then I feel good about myself at the end of the day, right? I can sleep with myself.
Well, and the client knows that they can always entrust in you because you're always telling them the right thing. And I always say, when it comes to client relationships, it's about the end game, not the front end.
Oh yeah. It's a long-term play,
it's
right?
a long-term play.
And that's one thing I try to instill in my brokers. Like, you know, you may take a haircut on this one deal, but your client's going to notice that. They're going to remember that. And so now, instead of just doing one deal with them, you now have 4, 5, 6 deals, you know. And
that's right.
I've done that several times throughout my career. And one of my clients, I'll do 10 or 11 transactions with a year, you know, and he saw me take a haircut and work my tail off on a deal and get my teeth kicked in several times through that deal. And now he calls me and refers me to his entire sphere of influence.
I love it.
And so, yeah, I mean, that's just part of it.
I love it. I love it. Can you discuss with our audience out there particular challenges or transactions that, you know, kind of were difficult to kind of persevere or push through, and how you successfully managed that?
Yeah, the one deal that comes to mind and always does is was my first large industrial deal. You know, I had done some small warehouses, but I had about 78,000 square feet listed in South Houston. And
ooh, that's a big piece.
It was a big piece. You know, it's family owned. You know, from the 60s, I think, is when the dad started the company. The son ended up being my client. Butch Shihai, shout out, ended up becoming a great friend of mine. And it was just such a challenge, man. You know, it was, we had a very unique building. We had way more power than anybody needed. You know, they were a 24-hour fab shop, and they build large semi-submersible, not semi-submersible. Oh man, they're oil and gas vessels. They're debutanizers, desalinators, things like that. Okay. Which I had to learn all about all this, right? You know, and so we just had a building that was so unique that it didn't meet the everyday person's, you know, criteria. But we were too small for the big guys, right? Everybody needed 100,000 square feet. So we're in this little weird sweet spot. And it didn't help. So it was 2 buildings. One was 20,000 square feet and one was 56,000 square feet. Okay. And it didn't help that I sold the small one in 3 days. I had it under contract, almost at asking, 3 days. I'm like, piece of cake. I'm going to crush this deal, make a hell of a lot of money, right? And about a year and a half later, I still have the big building for sale. We'd gotten offers, a lot of seller finance stuff. And, you know, we put it under contract twice. And one was just an absolute nightmare, man. It was just, again, it's just adapting, right? Just adapting to the change of the deal, adapting to the paperwork that we got that day that was less than desirable, right? And then just pivoting on to the next step, right? Just thinking critically past it. And we finally get it done after about 2 years, get both buildings sold. And my client, you know, the broker on the other side was just a nightmare, man. They put under contract and disappeared. So I represented pretty much buyer and seller in the deal. And it was just, man, I learned so much about, one, the commercial sphere and that specific asset class, especially in that size of an asset class, because you have different tiers of it, right? And kind of how things operated. But I also learned even more so on that deal, the true value of really stepping up for my client on a day-to-day basis. There's not one property in almost 11 years that I've been to as many times as that one. I mean, there were times I was at that property 2 and 3 times a day, you know, and my client took notice of that, and so did the buyer. So guess who's a client now? The buyer, because he has buildings he needs to sell. And so it just worked out, right? And they just saw my perseverance. They saw my hard work and just the fact that I was putting them first at all times, right? And I took a discount on the deal just to get the deal, right? You know, I didn't charge a full 6%. And when it was all said and done with, my client was like, hey, let's go to lunch. I want to say thank you. And it was all said and done with, he gave me an additional check at lunch post-commission. He's like, you worked so hard on this, I feel bad that you didn't get a full commission on it. So he gave me like another 10 or 15 grand.
I love it.
And I was like, oh, sweet. You know, that'll pay for a case of beer, right? You know? So, it was just such a challenge, especially being, you know, a small guy, small shop, you know, we're not anybody big, you know? And, definitely helped cut my teeth too, because the way the back end reporting is done in the commercial sector, it shows that my firm has sold I think we're top 2 for amount of square footage in that area for the industrial sector. So it kind of put my firm on the map for a little bit, especially with the JLLs of the world and the CBREs, you know, in this specific submarket, it shows that we are the guy to go to.
I love it.
And it was just, oh man, it was 2 years of getting my teeth kicked in.
Yeah. I mean, I think you hit on it right there. A couple things. You're willing to go above and beyond.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that's wrong. That's what's wrong with a lot of society today. You know, I think the 40-hour week, that becomes the maximum for most people. That's not even the minimum for you. You understand? No. And you mentioned something that I think you said, if I heard you right, that the guy ended up becoming a friend of yours.
A great friend.
Okay. A great friend. Okay. And so I can tell you this, when you're in business and you do right by the right people, okay, if they're serious and you're serious, you form this common bond together. Okay.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. I've got a theory. I live by it. I preach by it. And that is basically, when you find good people, you stick with those good people.
Yeah.
I don't care if they're a little more expensive. Everybody's got to feed their family at the end of the day. Everybody's got to make their money.
Yep.
But if you can trust what's coming out of their mouth, they have integrity, they have character.
Yeah.
That goes a long way.
Oh, for sure.
And so I think that you guys found a commonality right there.
Oh yeah.
You know, and the notion of you can't be friends with the people you do business with is complete bullshit.
Agreed.
Okay. Complete bullshit. Now I will tell you, it's more difficult to ascertain a friend as a client.
Yes.
Okay. So you almost have to do the reverse engineer. You have to prove your worth.
Yeah. Become an asset.
Yeah. And they see your integrity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they want to do business with you. I have clients I've had for 16 years, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And they're still with me. And I'm talking about big clients. I mean, that do work for SpaceX.
Yeah.
I mean, aeronautical companies that doing 20, 30, $40 million a year.
Something slight.
And
something slight.
I was with them when they were doing less than $3 million a year.
But also riding that wave with your client is so fun. It's so fulfilling to see.
And I know they would never go anywhere else. And the reason being because I always do them right. And I'm not saying it out of arrogance. Trust me, I'm not. I'm very blessed to have these individuals.
Yeah.
I'm just using it as an example. I think very highly of their family. They're a phenomenal family.
Yeah.
Okay. And the respect and the love we have for each other is mutual, because we've never done them wrong.
Yeah.
They've never done us wrong.
Right.
And when you find those good people, you stick with them.
Well, when you have professional respect for somebody, then the personal respect comes. It's like, I can trust them I can take it to the bank, right?
Yep.
He gave me his word. He's going to get it done.
Yep.
Point blank, period. Yep. Right. You become an asset, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that I push a lot is become an asset.
That's right.
And if I can be an asset for the people in my life, right, be an asset for myself, then I'm doing something right.
Well, and we're all human, so we're going to make mistakes along the way. But when you build that trust and they know that even when shit goes sour, you're going to make it right.
Yeah.
They don't ever question anything.
Well, and that's in this deal, I had made a pretty costly mistake.
Okay.
And the moment I made the mistake, I call my client, I'm like, fucked up, my bad. I'll make it right.
Yep.
And it was the phone call was 30 seconds long.
Yep.
Hey, I made a mistake. This is what I did. I'm going to make it right. I'll let you know when it's done. And it was, thank you.
Yep.
And then it never got brought up again.
Yep.
It was handled a week later, and we just moved on. And to your point that you're making, gave him my word, and I made a mistake. It was costly, and then you just own up to it and keep on pushing.
I think that's all we want in business, is someone just to be authentic.
Yeah.
When you make a mistake, just own it. Yeah. Let them know how you're going to remedy it, how you're going to make it right, and then execute on that.
Yeah.
And then you're good.
Yeah. And I can take him at his word. Yeah.
And so
I agree.
No, that's fantastic. Let me ask you, as a managing director of a brokerage firm such as Rockspring, what are your primary responsibilities?
Man, so Rockspring is, in the analogy we like to use, is we're a three-legged stool. So it's Rockspring Capital and Rockspring Properties.
Okay.
So we are a private equity firm that does real estate development in the Texas Triangle. The first leg of the stool is the PE. We take investors' funds and we buy real estate with it, mainly dirt, and do the horizontal infrastructure. And that's where the second leg comes into play, is our development leg. The development leg comes in and develops the land that we've purchased for the fund, right? And then the third leg of the stool is a traditional commercial real estate brokerage, helping buyers and sellers, landlords and tenants. And my job when I was first brought in was to scale the brokerage back from heck, we had one broker in Houston and 2 in San Antonio and 1 in Austin. And so I was brought in because my experience with building my own brokerage to scale the brokerage back to, a profitable transaction company.
Sure.
Now we probably have 8 in Houston now, 8 brokers in Houston now. We have 2 in Austin and then 3 or 4 in San Antonio now.
Love it.
And so I run the offices for those and help manage the brokers, help them with their transactions, help train them. I put all the systems and SOPs in place. And then, traditional broker work, right? Go find clients, go find properties, whether the properties be for your clients or for the firm for us to buy.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my role there. We're very entrepreneurial where we're at. We're not corporate at all. Like the least amount of corporate.
Love it.
So we all wear multiple hats, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are days that I work for everybody there, right? And there are days that the guys who are my brokers work for me, right? It just depends on what is being done that day.
Do what you have to.
And we have some brokers, some of our senior brokers are way smarter than I am. So there are times I'm leaning on them for their experience, you know? And so I think that having that good ebb and flow in the office of, hey, look, just because my title is managing director, I work for you guys at the end of the day.
Sure.
And so it's a lot of fun though, man. It's a huge challenge. Nothing like anything I've ever done. I came from a residential background and I started a residential firm. And then I started getting into commercial and found out that commercial in my brain worked way better than my brain in residential. And, just found the challenge in it. And so doing what we do now, going into a much bigger pond with private equity money and VC money and dealing with the regulations and then development, I've never done anything like that. And so it was a huge challenge that I'm so thankful and fortunate for, man.
I love it. How do you envision the growth of Rockspring from the brokerage division side?
Man, we're on a trajectory right now. We're scaling at a rate that we need more senior brokers, but they're hard to get, right?
We were talking about this earlier. It's hard to find the right people.
It is. And it's like, what comes first? Like we said earlier, culture or the people, right? And so, my CEO and we kind of built a culture fairly quickly and got some really good young juniors in. But they're so green, that's where the slow process was for us. It wasn't scalable because we didn't have, I was the only senior broker other than one of our former brokers. And so we got a really good senior broker in, Cotton Munson, great guy. And now we're just trying to add more senior brokers and just really scale the company where it's at right now. Because 1, it's going to help with just revenue income, right? Sure. Revenue streams coming in. 2, it'll help because we'll have more boots on ground for us to go find the buys for the firm to develop, which is very, very hard in Houston. Most of our developments right now, and some of them are on the screen, are in Central Texas.
Okay.
Marble Falls. Yeah. We have some stuff in Seguin and New Bronzeville. And so, we're kind of all over the Central Texas map right now, but that's because some of that stuff isn't as picked through or come through. Gotcha. So we're moving at a pace right now that there are days we're drinking from a fire hose, and we need more and better people than I, for sure.
Yeah.
But we're moving at a rate right now. There's a very good chance we'll close 75-ish, maybe 100-ish million this year. And then we're honing in on some new business models right now. That will really, I think, put us in a different pond with really competing with some of the bigger shops out there.
Well, and you hit on, finding these senior brokers. You got to be very careful. We talked about it. You hire slow, you fire fast, right? And it's not because you're trying to be an ass. You're like, no one wants to be that burden of bad news and tell someone you can't provide for your family.
Yeah, this paycheck is gone.
It's over, right? But the reality is, if you don't remove, it's like a bag of apples, right? If you got one bad apple there,
you got to get it.
You got to get that out of there as quickly as possible, because that will tank your brand.
Yeah. Well, and we I told a story a minute ago, and we had a junior broker that just became poisonous very quickly, unfortunately. And you could feel it when you walked in the office. It was palpable. You could feel the tension with the team, and it was just like, this needs to change, and we need to do it now. Otherwise, it's just going to get worse, right? And so, hire slow, fire fast.
Got to, unfortunately,
the unfortunate part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. What initiatives have you implemented out there to enhance client satisfaction and service excellence, would you say?
We're a small enough shop that we can give very boutique service. We can give you the hands-on. If you call me, you're getting me. You're not getting passed through from the secretary to the senior's cell phone or his voicemail or to the senior's junior.
Yep.
We are very, very hands-on with our clients. We're not a JLL, we're not a CBRE, where these firms are so big, you don't know who is going to get assigned to your file.
It's so much more rewarding, isn't it, when you say?
Oh, man.
You get to know the people.
Exactly. And our clients love that, right? They know that if they don't call me, they can call the next number on the list and they're going to get an answer. Mm-hmm. They're going to get taken care of. We're very, very hands-on. Every file has a name, not a number to it. Yep. And it has their name to it. And so we're able to be very hands-on with our clients because it means something to us, right? It's a lot more personal, at least in from my perspective, right? I try to keep the personal out of business for the most part, or at least not get emotional, but just being personal, just giving them boutique service. You matter. You're not just a number on a file. Your name is on this file, and your property means something. Yeah,
I always say, anytime you're dealing in a service-based industry, you've got to care more than the next person.
Oh yeah,
that's what it is, right? At least especially from the South, right? We have that Southern hospitality down there, right? And so, you're opening the door for your significant other, your girlfriend, whoever that is, your mom. You open the door when someone walks in, you let them walk in first. Yep. It's actually showing that you care. And as Anthony was alluding to, that they matter.
Yeah.
And people want to matter.
Of course. Well, they want to feel, I don't want to say feel important, but they want to feel like when you talk to them, they're your only priority.
That's right.
And my clients have actually joked with me before, like, we never see you check your phone when you're with us. I'm like, yeah, because I'm with you. Yeah. That can wait. I got a voicemail. Mm-hmm. I got text messages, right? Like, it's okay. I can address it after.
That's right.
I handle what you need me to handle, right?
That's right. I love that.
And that goes a long way,
It does.
It did really well on dates back in the day too. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, those days are long gone. That's you and I.
Oh yeah.
That's good stuff. Hey, as the CEO of Wolf Real Estate Group, what motivated you to establish this firm?
Man, I was at a firm that was just feeding us to death. I was paying $40,000 a year in fees, and I'm like, man, I had the skill set. I'm not really using the firm's resources because I found some that I thought were much more efficient. I'm paying for everything myself. Why don't I just do this myself? And then just kind of, echoing what my mom and my grandmother did,
cut the fat,
just cut the fat. Yeah. Get straight, straight to the consumer. Right. And, like we've talked about, it's a lot more challenging. Everything's on you at all times. Mm-hmm. When I started my company, I didn't know anything about taxes or business structure or right. The list goes on. And
Absolutely.
So, it's trial by fire for sure. You just get thrown to the wolves and get after it. And that's all I did,
Yeah.
And, then I found out that it was just, there's so much friction every day. It is kind of anxiety inducing, but that is also very exciting to me.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question on something, kind of deviate just a little bit, but I think for a lot of young entrepreneurs or those who want to be entrepreneurs, they create their own hurdles.
Of course.
More than external hurdles that are out there, right? It's almost that notion of you're a bigger critic on yourself than somebody else is going to be a critic of you.
We've talked about, evolving and growing and scaling and you have to be introspective and be critical of yourself in your last deal and your last conversation. Otherwise you're just going to stay the same and be stagnant.
Yeah.
And, for sure. I created a lot more problems for myself just with total lack of knowledge, and a lot more obstacles, or the constant thinking of like,
I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah.
And now I feel this way. I don't think if I put my attention to it,
it's getting done.
I don't think that I won't not achieve. It might take 6 iterations, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to either get through that wall, around that wall, over that wall, underneath that wall. I will get to the other side at some point.
Yeah. And
that's that determination.
That some of that we've, talked about is, with employees is sometimes some of these cats just can't think past the obstacle in their way. And I think
feel like they just kind of throw their hands up at any little small bump in the road a little bit.
I think that's one of the things that makes a great entrepreneur or a great business person. It's like you run into a wall and it's like, what's on me? So I have to figure out how to get around this, under this, over this, whatever the case may be. And you just have to push through it. And it really forces you to think about the issue, the obstacle in front of you.
I think like that's great. I think it prepares you for the next obstacle, because that's the deal. It's almost like, I hate to use this analogy, it's almost like Super Mario Brothers back in the day, right? You're going to have to jump, duck, slide, do whatever you need to do, right?
Because it's always coming at you.
Yeah, the platform's always changing, right? And you have to be able to adapt with it. And the more experience you get, the greater confidence you're going to have. The more successful you're going to be. And then, you get to a point where you've come across all these different obstacles that, you don't think that someone can't throw another obstacle at you that you're not going to get past. And sometimes you will go through some obstacles. You're like, man, I don't think I'm going to get past this one.
Yeah.
But eventually you keep working at it. And if it means enough, if you want it to go through, it will happen.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The image that always run through my mind when I hit a new obstacle is the mountain that's way off in the distance.
Yeah.
It's so far out in front of you. Like, how I have to get to the other side of that. How am I going to get there?
Yeah.
And it's the 1 foot in front, and you just keep trucking along. Before you know it, the mountain's so far in your rear view, you almost forgot about
That's
it.
Right.
And it does prepare you for that next mountain that's coming your way.
Yeah.
There's so many obstacles that I face on a day-to-day basis now that there's no way I could accomplish them if I hadn't gone through what I had gone through to get to this point, right?
Yeah.
And that's the obstacles that we have to overcome to get here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and one of the things I always say, and I think you will agree with me on this, is you got to be all in.
Yeah.
Like this, this is just going to be my little side hustle. Well, if it always just stays your side hustle, it never materializes, right? It's almost even like a relationship. If you start to date somebody and if you don't take them serious, it's never going to evolve.
Yeah. Well,
right?
any sort of
anything you do.
Yeah. You have to be both feet in. The 1 foot in, 1 foot out, it's never going to work. If you're always sidelining, then stay on the sidelines.
I hate when I hear that Gary, I like Gary Vaynerchuk, but I hate when he says, start these little side hustles on the side. I'm like, that's terrible advice in my opinion, because I think if you're going to try, you do want to get your feet wet, but at some point you got to say, I'm going all in or not.
Well, plan B distracts from plan A.
Yeah.
It's good to be thinking of backups in case this doesn't work. But if you're trying to run two different avenues, one, you'll never get to your 10,000 hours.
You got to burn the boats.
You got to burn the boats. Yes. You got to burn the boats. You have to, you know, and there's no way you're going to be an expert in all these things. I mean, what is it? 10,000 hours it takes, for you to become proficient in something.
Yep.
If you're doing an hour here and 20 minutes there, and this is a lesson I learned the hard way. I got into real estate, and then I was like, I had some friends running some e-commerce businesses. I'm like, I can do that too. So I started trying to do the e-com thing, and then it quickly became a nonprofit because I was just dumping money into something I had no idea.
Yeah.
And
there's only so many hours in a day, too.
Right. And then I'm like, oh man, I'm taking away from my moneymaker. What one of the things I love to do to try to make this residual income. Yeah. On the side that is pennies, right, in comparison. And so, burn the boats.
That's it. You got to burn the boats. Let's talk about Wolf Real Estate Group again.
Yeah.
What made y'all different, or what makes y'all different than other brokerage firms out there, would you say?
Man, 11 years of overcoming obstacles, right? You have these fly-by-night brokers and agents that come in, they see it look, glamorous on the TV or on Instagram or whatever, and they think that they can do it too, and then they just give the worst service possible to their client. Yeah. And, we take note of that. And so when clients call us like, man, this is my last broker, this, that, and the third, and it's like, that's not uncommon, unfortunately, and we have to separate ourselves. So how do we do that? We make you a priority. We come to it. Most of the time, my clients don't even know problems that have arisen in the deal because I just get it addressed and handle it. And then I let them know, hey, look, everything's taken care of. Let's keep on pushing. Yeah. But man,
you're proactive.
You have to be. It wasn't anything, right? Yep. But experience goes a long way, right? We talked earlier with, education and schooling, the theory's fine and dandy, but the practical application, the day-to-day, being in the business and actually going through the title commitments or seeing engineering reports or environmentals or seeing these things, you can speak to them to a degree. I'm no professional in any of these fields. But you see them enough, you can say, hey, this looks crazy on paper. Don't worry about this. It's not a big deal. Right. And so, and just knowing your market, you have to know what's going on out, whether it's the financial markets, capital markets, whether it's your specific sub-market, whether it's the asset class within your sub-market, right? You have to know what's going on in these things.
You've got to be well educated in that field.
You have to.
Right? You have to be a resource for your client. Yeah. Because if the client can't feel comfortable doing business with you because you're not a resource, they're going to go somewhere. They're going to find someone they feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
They might like you, but they go, there's been plenty of people, right, that try to do business with me. And I go, look, dude, I like you, but you're just not going to be a good fit. I'm just honest, and I don't mean anything by it.
No, but being in a position where you can be able to, one, recognize that, right?
Yep.
Two, be able to be proactive with it on the front end and say, hey, great guy, you're super awesome. This is not, I can point you in the right direction for someone who can, but this is just not me. I actually had this conversation with a client 2 days ago. I'm like, you hired me to do a job. You fight me every step of the way. You call your residential broker and ask her opinion about this commercial property. When she referred me to you, I don't think I'm the fit for you. And one, there's some power in that, right?
There is.
two, sometimes your clients take note of that and they kind of change their tone.
Yeah.
You know, I've definitely fired clients before and they've circled back and like, okay, what do I need to do? But it's I lost my train of thought on that one. That was my bad.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
But yeah, just, I don't want to say a jack of all trades, right? But
just being proficient in your field.
Yeah.
So if they have a question, and even if you don't have the answer, it's okay. I will just say this: don't bullshit the person first and foremost. Okay. No one likes a bullshitter. If you don't know the answer, say, you know what? I don't know the answer. Let me look into that right now. Or you know what? I did know the answer. It's maybe slipped my mind. Or you know what? That's not my expertise. Let me partner with somebody and let me get back to you. People appreciate that authenticity and that honesty.
Well, and a lot of young brokers think they have to have the answers at all the time, like at all times. And that's one of the things I tell our juniors is like, if you don't know it, that's fine.
Yeah.
They're going to appreciate what you just said more than you trying to sit there and pull it out of your ass and bullshit them. And then they can read through. Savvy people read through it. Absolutely. We're in the commercial sector, so we're typically dealing with business owners, people who are more savvy. Don't bullshit.
Yeah, I agree. Do me a favor. Tell the audience about your core values.
Man, morals, ethics, right? We've talked about being a fiduciary.
Yes.
Like that is, I will put my clients first and foremost, you know, even if I've lost money on deals because my client was able to get what they needed out of it. Right. Yeah. You know, and then they take note of that. So many times you run into brokers or, you know, we deal with the attorneys a lot too, you know, where it's like, I'm just here for a paycheck. I don't care who gets screwed over, who I have to step on, and doing things the right way the first time, and treating your clients just exactly how you want to be treated. Like that's such a basic thing that doesn't seem to go around too often nowadays. Is I treat my clients if like I would want to be treated in a transaction, or
it's basic.
You say it's basic, but it's
it isn't for so many people,
right?
But it should be though.
Well, you know, when dollars and cents get thrown into the equation, people sometimes go crazy. And,
oh yeah, that's unfortunate. I would say this: you gotta do the right thing when no one else is looking too.
That's the test of a true character, right?
It is.
And, you know, that's something I pray to instill in my son. Yeah. You know, is when no one's watching, who you are when no one's around is who you truly are.
Yep.
And that is true character. And having a character that people can trust and count on, man, that's worth its weight in gold.
Tell me about faith. Tell me about how has that guided you in making your decisions and the actions of how you live your life as both an entrepreneur and a leader?
Man, there's no way I'd be here without my faith. It's just not possible. You know, I went through some really tough times in my life, man. And there were some situations that there's no reason I should have got out of those and not been in jail, right? And the story that comes to mind is nutshell. I'm out on bond, and you know, I got a bunch of drugs with me. I'm going to go sell, and I get into a really bad car accident, and almost kill a lady. And I drive over her car. I had a big lifted vehicle at the time. They had to cut her out of the car, and police show up. I have a warrant, and I'm out on bond, and I have drugs on me. And I'm like, this is it. I'm going away, right? And right then I hadn't been right with God in a long time.
Sure.
And I just started, like, in the middle of the intersection, I'm praying, like, because my life depends on it right here, right now. And he delivered me. I was found not at fault for the accident. The police declared me not at fault on the scene, so they didn't run me. My mom was around the corner, and I hadn't talked to my mom in months at this point in time. My mom was around the corner for whatever reason, and she came and picked me up, and like she let me put all the dope in her car and like drop me off. Like I told her the story years later.
It's
and I'm like,
funny now you laugh about that.
Oh yeah. But it still gives me chills when I think about that day, because you know it pops up like on my Facebook, you know, memories timeline of my truck completely totaled in this middle of this intersection, and I started praying every single day, and he delivered me from that and through much more. And he delivered the most beautiful wife and the most beautiful son. I mean, it's and I was fortunate enough to be able to, about 3 years ago, I made the decision to go get baptized, and it was a beautiful thing, man. And we did it at Second Baptist, and it was a private baptism. They did it on like a Saturday afternoon, and we had a bunch of our friends and family show up, and it's really shaped my life, you know?
Yeah. Look, guys, you're not going to be successful. You're not going to get through this without him upstairs.
Oh, there's no way.
I'm just going to tell you. And I won't tell you my stories right now. That'll be another day. But God has been so implemental in so many things in my life.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the first thing I do every single morning is I pray to God. I do my Bible study first thing.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I do, right? I give it up to God right off the bat. And I always make sure that anything that I'm going to do as a man, right? I ask myself these two questions. I find myself in a kind of a froggy situation, right? I don't know, because we all get there from time to time, right? I go, if I act in this manner, what would God think about me?
That's good.
The second one, I go, what would my wife and my kids think about me?
Yeah.
And if I can't have a resounding, they would be proud of me, God and my wife and my kids, I probably don't need to be doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and he'll take care of you. I mean, it's funny. People always pray for, I was real bad about this when I first started. I would pray for like strength, and I'd pray, and I still pray for it, but I'd pray for opportunity, and I'd pray for resilience. And there's no way you get those attributes without going through some hell, right? He's not going to give you the golden or silver spoon. He's going to give you the field. He's going to give you the mind to to mine it, right?
That's right.
And so a lot of people, and maybe this is just my personal opinion, but a lot of times people get upset when their quote unquote prayers aren't answered. It's like, no, they are being answered, but it's not the way you wanted them answered. It's the way you deserve to have them answered.
I love that. So what Anthony's referring to, like what I like to think of it is, God will deliver you through it, but you got to get off your butt and do the work.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like he's not going to do it for you. Right. Because that's how you grow as a person. Yeah. He wants you to grow. He wants you to know you can turn to him at any time, and he'll see you through it, but he's not going to see you through it if you're not serious. And if you're not serious, you're not going to push through it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And so, God has been there for me in some of the most difficult times in my life, and I always, every day when I pray, I can tell you this, that most of the time, if it's not something that I'm personally going through, I normally pray for other people. I always, people that are in worse situations, I always, instead of praying, asking for forgiveness or asking for something, some help from my end, I always pray to look after somebody else.
And that goes a long way, right? One of the things that I really enjoy doing now in my life is when my friends and family or people that I know are total strangers, like they're people for whatever reason open up to me a lot. And I'm always like, I'll pray for you. I'm thankful to be in a position where I can say, I'll pray for you. And then, it does come back around, It does. When I my prayers are in the evening, and the first thing I thank the Lord for is my wife and my son. And then I thank him for all the opportunities, and I just go down I have like a daily list of friends and family, or the lady that I met in the parking lot, or whatever. Like I have a running list, and sometimes I feel selfish, right? Like, but at the same time, it's like it all comes back around, man. Yeah, it always does.
Absolutely. Can you share an instance where your faith helped you overcome a challenge in your career?
Yeah. So Rockspring it still to this date is the biggest professional challenge of my life. I have imposter syndrome, right? There are days I'm like, what am I even doing? Do I know what I'm doing, right? I've been doing this for 11 years now. Yeah. And I just pray every day. I continue to pray for that strength, right? But it can't be upset when it gets hard, right? Mm-hmm. There's no way to be strong without going through the headache, right? That's right. So right now at Rockspring, when this, doing what you do, scaling comes with a lot of growing pains.
It does.
It comes with a tremendous amount of growing pains. And I'm at the point now where we are growing, we are scaling. There are growing pains every single day. Mm-hmm. And I just pray, I pray and thank him, right? Because this is helping me become the man I need to be for the next opportunity or the next thing, or for my son or whatever. But it's just such a challenge every day,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do want to share one thing with you before we get off this topic and talk about something else. I remember, actually, it was this last tax season. I came up here, it was on a Saturday or something. It was right before the end of tax season. Yeah. Okay. And I was the only person up here. And, I know most people would have looked at something like that and they would have said, Jake, none of your employees are there. They're at home. Your partner's not here. My wife was in bed. My kids were in bed. Yeah. It was 7:30 in the morning. I was up here working. And I could have been, angry, upset, frustrated. And it was just weird that I didn't have that feeling. I was just so blessed. And so I just sat there, and I have a big TV up above my 4 monitors, right? And I have ESPN on up there, right? Just real low on the volume. But, and I remember thinking, I go, this is beautiful. I got all my employees off, taking a break. They needed a break. They've been working their tail off. My partner had been killing it, and he needed some time off. My beautiful wife is in bed. My kids are in bed. My drive up to the office is 12 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can't be mad at the opportunity.
this is a blessing, God. Thank you.
Oh,
like
1000%.
And it's all about perspective.
For sure.
And I was just so blessed, right? That I had this amazing opportunity and I was up here and it was quiet. There was nobody here.
Yeah.
And I could just comb through and get work done very slow, very methodical. The phones weren't ringing.
Yeah. You're not being pulled 10 different ways.
Yeah. Employees weren't running to me. Hey, I need this resolved. I need that resolved. I wasn't putting out fires left and right. Right. My family was home, safe in bed.
Yeah.
And it was just such a blessing. And so I just tell people, like, if you're going through tough times, have perspective.
Yeah. You have to be thankful for it.
If you have a ton of work, and I get it, we get stressed out, we get tired, we get angry, we get frustrated. We get burned out. We all do. I do too. Trust me. But with that being said, it's a great opportunity because think about the people who can't keep their lights on.
Yeah.
The people who don't have these opportunities.
Yeah.
Right. Count your blessings and give back and just be thankful for what you have and give it up to the Lord up there for that.
Yeah. No, I mean, at this point in time in my life, I have literally everything I've ever prayed for and then some.
Yeah.
So yeah, we go through our moments where you're stressed out. Big deal's about to implode. There's a lot of money on the line, right?
Sure.
And then it blows up. Okay. I go home to a healthy son, a beautiful wife. We have groceries.
Can't ask for any more.
I got great employees. I got great people who work with me, right? Great. Like I have literally everything I've prayed for. Oh, I didn't make $160,000 on this deal. There's going to be another one.
Yeah.
God probably said, hey, you're not ready for this amount of money at this exact time. You're going to probably do something stupid with it. So on to the next one.
And
right?
when things don't work out, right? I always say this, man, it might suck, but God wanted me to go through that adversity.
Absolutely.
Because there's something else that I'm just not getting. Because, when you go through bad things in life, you go, well, God, I'm a good person. Why did this happen to me? Isn't that what we say all the time?
Well, entrepreneurs do that all the time too, right? Like this failed. What did I do wrong? Did I, whatever the thoughts go and go and go. And so it's like, mate, you have to go through it.
You do.
And I'm a big fan of Jocko. And he has
I like Jocko.
the good,
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't get the job you wanted? Good.
Good. Yeah.
You got more PT assigned to you? Good. Like, and that resonates with me so much. It's
I love him and Goggins, man.
Oh yeah. And I mean, the world needs more men like that. And,
absolutely.
But having that always rings in my head. Like, the scenario I just gave you was that happened 2 weeks ago. I was supposed to close a giant deal. About $160,000 was set to be made and blew up a week before closing. And I had my about 30 seconds of woe is me. And I looked around at the landscape and I said, good, let's get after it. Yeah. That's all you can do.
That's right. That's right. I love that. How important is it to have a strong network of professional associates such as accountants, lawyers, and marketers? Man, us as entrepreneurs, we can't do it all. That's right.
And if you're going to be, for me, if I'm going to be an expert broker, I can't be an expert accountant. I can't be an expert in marketing. So having good people around you goes such a long way. And we've touched on it several times in this conversation, but there's the saying that your network is directly tied to your net worth, right?
It is.
And you can be with the chickens or with the eagles, whatever the saying is, right? Something along those lines. But it's like, there are people in this world who are way smarter and way better than I am at a lot of different things. And we would, as entrepreneurs, would be foolish not to take advantage of that, right? To be able to go, okay, I don't know this part of the law. Let's call an attorney, right? And then building good relationships with those people goes a long way. Our attorney at Rockspring, great guy. Yeah. We've had drinks together. Super solid guy. The people who do our marketing are the coolest people, man. And their brains work way different than mine. They're very creative. My brain's not creative like that. Yeah. I can think through a problem, but don't ask me the color tone of of the ad, right? Yeah. And so having great people around you, but that also stems more business, right? Yeah. We've touched on it earlier, of people truly trust you and they will send you their entire life network of people.
That's right.
Because you took care of them on something. And there's been so many times in business where I referred somebody to something or somebody else, and then 3 weeks later, I'm getting a call. Oh, hey, so-and-so told me to call you because we have this thing now and we need you to sell it or we're trying to buy. And it's like, oh, I didn't even know that was going to come back around, but it did. So cool. Yeah. And it just always ends up coming back around. It always does.
I don't know this about you, Anthony, because we don't know each other that well, but I'm a big sports guy. You're a sports guy?
Yeah, I'm a big sports guy. Yeah.
All right. So this is the analogy I like to give in regards to this topic. If you've got a guy on your team like Deshaun Jackson, you remember Deshaun Jackson used to play for the Philadelphia Eagles?
Yep.
Ran a 4.2 40, a little bitty guy, about 160 pounds.
Yep.
You don't get that guy to run across the middle and get killed by the linebackers, do you? I need you to run, just go deep.
He's got one job.
That's it. Yep. That's it. Get get long. Okay. So what Anthony's referring to is, your accountants, your lawyers, your marketers, your other people in other industries. Find the people that do great work.
Yeah.
Let them handle those ancillary services for you and focus on your core business.
Yeah. On your craft.
It's not that you can't possibly do those other crafts, but it's a poor allocation of your time.
Right. Right. And I know we talked about you having kids at a certain point in time. If I'm trying to do all these things and have all these plates spinning, well, I'm pulling from somewhere in life,
yep.
right? To spin and manage all these spinning plates, right?
Yep.
And so whether it's from being a master at my specific craft, or time with the family, or taking time away from the team, that way they're not getting what they need from me, right? And so, or even for upper management and the partners, right? So if I'm trying to be the accountant and the marketer and the lawyer and then I'm none of those things.
Yeah, there was a book that I read a long time ago, and I don't know if you've read this book. And if you haven't, I would tell you that. You ever read the book The Millionaire Next Door?
I'm familiar with it, but I haven't read it.
Yeah, so basically, it was basically along the lines of do what millionaires do, right? And if you find people in more affluent areas, they typically don't cut their own grass.
Yeah.
Right. They physically can. Right. It's a poor allocation of the resources. The same thing goes for this, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like they have maids that clean their houses and you go, well, I can't afford them. I get all that, but you need to start changing your mindset, start thinking like they think if you ever want to be like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, that's a great point.
Let me ask you this. Can you share an example of how working with the right professionals has helped your business thrive?
We've talked about mentors, right? Through this, I've had mentors from the marketing world, I've had mentors from the financial world, from the professional world, from the brokerage world. I've had some great mentors through my life. The one that comes to mind is Mike Axelrad. He's our COO at Rockspring.
Okay.
He came from Blackstone, as an attorney and managed about 20 million square feet of retail throughout the United States at Blackstone. And God, the wealth of knowledge that this guy is, especially from such a high level at Blackstone, it's the most important thing in my life right now, from a business standpoint.
I love it.
He is probably the most important mentor, if not the most important mentor of my life. I love the guy dearly. He's a great guy. What's funny about Axe is you always hear like the description of a man in a movie. He wasn't a big man, but he demanded a tremendous amount of respect. And when he looked at that's this guy, right? Yeah. Axe is not a big guy, but he's been all over the world. He's done so much that when that man speaks, you listen. Yeah. Because he's not wasting his breath.
Sure.
And he has more money and doesn't need to be there, right? Yeah. So.
And he's not just talking just to talk either. Right? No. He's wanting you to learn.
No, exactly. And to the point that you were saying a second ago about, allocating time. He doesn't have to allocate the time to me that he does. Yeah. He's done it. He has it, right? And so, but my network led me to him.
I love that. And that's the deal. When you find the right mentor, believe it or not, because I mentor a lot of people, we like to give back.
Oh, he loves it. Yeah.
It's not about money. It's about just seeing others grow in the self-fulfillment. I always like to say, when I arrive on this earth, and then when I exit this earth, did I make this earth a better place? It's the impact that you put on people's families, on their lives, and I think if you always think in that mindset, good things will come your way.
Oh, well, I mean, the karma or the energy or whatever, it's all reciprocated, right? It all comes back around. And it's funny you use those exact words because those are the exact words Axe uses when he refers verbatim. So that was really kind of funny that you did that. So that was cool.
I'm going to have to look this guy up then.
Yeah. No, he's a great guy, man. Y'all would get along famously. He is just the coolest dude.
I love that. What advice would you give entrepreneurs about building and leveraging a trusted professional network, would you say?
Man, well, we've touched on it many times. Like if you say you're going to do something, do it. Yeah. Then they know that they can count on you. Because at the end of the day, if I give you my word, whether I benefit from it or not, I'm still going to do it. That's right. So many times, I'm that guy that helps friends move. Yeah. Because it's like, oh man, I need help. It's like, well, they know that it's kind of like a double-edged sword, right? Like people know they can count on you, so they're going to call you for all kinds of stuff, right? And also don't ask anything from somebody that you're not willing to give back.
That's right. Absolutely.
We find all the time that we get, we're the stalking horse a lot because we're a small firm, and maybe not a lot, but we've been the stalking horse where people have come to us and picked our brains and got all this information and then just disappeared. Right. And it's like, well, we're okay with doing that, but let's reciprocate the business. Right. I'm not going to call a construction company and be like, I need bids for all of this. just to leverage it to get better bids, right? You know, if I'm calling you, I need something from you,
that's right,
which I very rarely do, then it's going to come back to you. If I get a bid from you, the job's going to you.
That's right.
You know, and so I think that gets lost a lot of times because people think, oh, I get shopping your options. Mm-hmm. I get that. But when you build a solid relationship with somebody, stick to your word and reciprocate.
And it gets back to what we were talking about, right? Like, once you find good people in whatever industry, you stick with those people, right? Like, I don't care if there's 5-10% increase versus what you can get it done somewhere else. It's the time, it's the worry that you have to worry about. Did this person file this? Did this person take care of this? You understand? When you've got a bird dog game, you got to stay on their ass. It's not worth the 5 or 10% savings.
No.
You know,
it's the time allocation too that we talked about. You know, Axe always says we don't make relationships easy, but we don't break relationships easy either.
That's right.
And that's definitely gone a long way when we're sitting down with new partners, or whether they be other investors or contractors, whatever the case may be. And so that goes a long way with people.
Time is our most valuable commodity.
It's everybody's.
Yeah, for sure. What current trends do you observe in Texas real estate market right now?
The big one is single family development. I mean, homes. Builders can't build them fast enough, and so much so that that's one of the asset classes that we've started to tackle. We're developing finished lots for builders. You know, we're buying 100, just a random example, 100 acres and turning it into shovel ready lots for builders to go vertical on with the structures.
Gotcha.
And we can't, and we're a small shop and we can't keep up. I mean, the demand for single family development is so high. Which is funny because, you know,
what area right now in Texas would you say?
Every area. Areas you would be surprised that would make no sense. Like, I just put a 450 under contract in Dayton, Texas. River Ranch, the name of the community, giant lagoon, you know, clubhouse, golf cart style community out in North Dayton. You know, I mean, just throw a dart at the map in Southeast Texas. There's development going on most single family.
Wow.
I mean, it's insane what's going on out there right now. And the asset class that we're kind of picking our brains about right now is the single family for rent model, where they're coming in, they're building 200 and 300 homes, but they're all for rent. So it's just a horizontal apartment complex, right? But it's such a new asset class. There's not enough long-term data on the financials behind it, from my personal opinion.
Yeah.
You know, who's really making out like a bandit on that? Is it the first guy in? Is it the third guy in? Who's dealing with the deferred maintenance? It's an apartment complex horizontally. People are not going to take care of it like they take care of their home.
No, they never do.
So, you know, those two asset classes, you know, the for sale and for rent, man, the demand is so high. D.R. Horton is throwing money at any property. I mean, we've gotten offers for $15 million. We were representing D.R. Horton on a property in Conroe, East Conroe, and we were the stalking horse at $15 million. The sellers used that to get more money out of another builder. This was like 45 acres.
Really?
Yeah.
45 acres for $15 million?
Well, it was the full development too, right? So the infrastructure but
understood.
But they saw it and threw that number out immediately. That was like their initial offer on the deal, and so we can't keep up. Wow. I mean, the single family development is off the charts, and builders are outpacing, you know, the resales because they can buy their rates down and they can give you 6% towards your closing costs, and it's, you know, it's not helping the everyday, you know, 123 Main Street down the road. You know, it's making it difficult for the resale.
Interesting. How do you foresee the real estate landscape evolving in the next few years?
Man, that's such a great question, right? I mean, crystal ball, I'd be on a beach right now, but there's so many different trends depending on who you talk to, right? And their personal opinion and outlook, right? You know, this economist says this, and that economist says that, and this one's pessimistic, and this one's optimistic, we're seeing data centers explode, and we're seeing AI come in tremendously from an underwriting standpoint.
It's not going away.
And it's only speeding up the process, right? You know, whether it be from the architectural design, the engineering, the financial underwriting of a deal, like, you know, AI is changing the landscape so quickly. But from an asset class standpoint, data centers is like the hottest commodity.
Yeah.
You know, I went to the BizNow conference back in Tennessee. It was in Tennessee back last year in April. And I mean, these guys were throwing $300 and $400 million around to buy 5 and 6 data centers. You know, all you need is power. That's all you need. And you need a lot of it, right?
Yeah.
You know, but they're buying 200,000 and 300,000 square foot data centers. Wow. And just that commodity has just come out of nowhere, and we're already behind the 8 ball on it, right? And it's such a new commodity. Yeah. But as trends go, man, It's really hard to say. I mean, are rates going to come down? If they do, how much are they going to come down?
I think a lot of it's going to be depending on what Doge finds as far as cutting out all the fat.
I agree with you.
Because when you start cutting, and this is what I was talking on my latest podcast with my business partner, the Feds always try to tell us, right, they got to increase or reduce interest rates to adjust inflation, right? And that does work. But the biggest component is cutting the fat that the federal government, the spending that they do. And so if they end up cutting a lot of fat,
they're going to be able to cut rates.
They're going to be able to cut rates too, because they have to stimulate the economy to grow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the past couple of years, rates have been so high. There's been so much PE and VC money sidelined, waiting to see what's going on. And we're starting to see some increased activity from these firms. I think they're kind of realizing this is the new norm for right now. And you can speak to this a little bit more. Myself and Axe were talking about this, in the early 2000s, if you had a 7 or 8% interest rate, that was awesome.
Absolutely was.
Yes. I mean, my grandfather bought his house at 18% interest rate in the 70s and thought he stole it. Now, granted, prices haven't come down to meet those higher rates, so he bought a $70,000 house at 18% interest, right? It was a $200,000 house back in the early 2000s, and so if rates do come down, it's going to cause it's the rock in the hard place, right? Rates come down, it's going to flood people back to the market.
That's right.
So prices are going to go back up.
And there's a lot of talk right now in Texas about reducing property taxes as well.
Yes.
And so if that actually comes down as well, because I believe that the consumer today doesn't necessarily buy on value. A lot of they buy on what they can cash flow, right? What their notes are going to be.
Yeah. And so we're seeing BlackRock is starting to liquidate their entire residential portfolio right now. And so are some of these big firms. I actually was reading this article yesterday because of interest rates and insurance costs and taxes being so high. That's no longer a profitable model unless you have hundreds of doors, which Blackstone does, but they're still liquidating some of the homes are selling at 30 and 40% below what they bought them for, just to get them off the books. But we're seeing this issue a lot, with insurance costs too. Is, I have a couple apartment complexes in Galveston that they're phenomenal properties.
Yeah. Nobody wants to insure
is
down
so
there.
high.
Yeah.
There goes your entire nut.
Yep.
Back to the drawing board. Or you have to discount the property so much that it offsets, right? And so it's the lose-lose right there. Crystal ball, man. Rates come down a dash. We get back to the normal 5.5. Buyers flood, VC, PE money floods. Hopefully costs come down a little bit, you know. But it is the double-edged sword because everyone's going to rush right back to the field. Yeah. So
that's good insight.
We'll
Yeah. So what advice would you give investors who are looking to enter into the Texas real estate market?
Vet. I mean,
due diligence, huh?
Oh man, there's so many fly by night, either investors or firms, right? And you have to really do your homework, and be savvy enough to, one, walk away, and two, be willing to take that risk. Investing is just it's risk at the end of the day.
Sure.
But you have to vet. We vet our investors pretty thoroughly. We have some private investigative softwares that we use to make sure that Chris Smith is actually Chris Smith, right? This is who he says he is. He is capable of doing these things. Sure. And firms are the same way. I mean, look at Bernie Madoff, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, and that was a big firm too. So
absolutely.
It's you have to do your homework.
That's right.
Because not everyone is created equal in this business.
That's correct. How have experiences in real estate shaped your personal and professional development, would you say?
Oh, man. You have to be that person you want to be, or not want to be, but have to be, right? Like, I'm going to use I want to be this father for my son that is the father that I wanted for myself, right? And so being an entrepreneur, you have to be that man. You have to, that person, right? You have to be that person every day rather than rely on that person, right? And so just learning, you have to grind it. You have to push, you have to fight, you have to burn the boats, right?
Nothing worth having is easy either.
No, otherwise it wouldn't be worth having.
That's right.
So it's forcing me every single day to be that guy, that person, the person that my wife needs, the person that I need,
the person that your son needs,
the person that my team needs, and so our team, and you're gonna take your licks.
Yeah, and talking about your team there for a second, I mean, if you come in with the right mindset, if you come in and you lead by example, you're willing to roll your sleeves up.
Yep.
Your peers will respect you that much more, and they'll work that much. I mean, it bleeds off. But if they see someone, as a team leader or a manager or whatever, or even a partner, if they're lackadaisy if they don't give a shit, you can't expect your employees or your team members to give a shit.
No.
It's just not going to happen. You set the tone. I mean, you're the Tom Brady of the team, right?
Yeah, and if it's your company, you have to be that person to get good people around, right?
That's right.
You know, I love the image of the leader and the manager, right? The manager's at the back of the huddle going, y'all go do that, and the leader's out front of hey, we're going to go do this,
That's
right? And I definitely try to lead by example. I fall short all the time, and then it just makes me a better person for the next challenge.
What's your future aspirations? What do you want to do after this, or continue in this field, or where do you see yourself in the future?
Man, I've always known what I've been doing is a stepping stone.
Okay.
You know, I've always wanted to be a real estate developer. The moment I got into real estate, I wanted to be a developer.
Okay.
And that takes capital and time and knowledge, right? You know, there's certain things that go into that. But that's what I want to do. I still want to do that. And it's funny how...
When you say real estate developer, are you talking about commercial or residential or both?
What we're doing now is exciting because we do a lot of mixed use developments. Like on the images you've seen on the screen, we have some of our mixed use developments where it's multifamily, it's single family, it's industrial, it's, you know, the QSRs and the retails of the world, right? And you know, I enjoy real estate so much, but I want to get into the actual development side a lot deeper than I currently am, rather than you know, still having to chase the buyers and sellers, right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of funny how the story has turned, being, you know, a small, you know, a nobody in a small residential firm, to starting my own residential firm, to going into commercial, to now I'm the managing director of a commercial real estate development company.
Yeah.
And so it's been a very slow drip, but all roads lead to being a developer.
Yeah. So Anthony, you've had a lot of success in your career. Okay. But you got a lot more going in the future, right? I think maybe our audience, a lot of people might want to know, like, how do you stay motivated once you've accomplished success, right? Because I always say, look, man, once you've made your first million, your second million, you know, you've done well in life,
What's
right?
next? Yeah.
Like you get there and you go, how do you still get up in the morning? And you know, for myself, like, how do I still work 7 days a week?
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
How do you keep that fire hot?
Yeah, how do you keep that fire hot?
Yeah. Man, it's going to sound so cheesy, but motivation comes and goes. I'm a discipline guy.
I'm the same way.
I'm a discipline guy. The discipline to go to the gym when you don't want to, the discipline to be the first person at the office to be that leader for your team, the discipline to work late to get the deal done, or whatever the case may be, right? Yeah. Like, the motivation comes and goes. There's been plenty of days that you and I wake up and go, oh, screw this. And you put your shoes on, you tie your boots tight, and you get back to it, right? That's all there is. And you just push through. You grit your teeth and push. But again, we've talked about the false finish lines, right? You know, you hit that, like you said, your first million, you hit your second million, and then it's like, that's not what I thought it was going to be, you know? And then, so that gives me anxiety, you know? So like the anxiety is really what keeps me going at all times, right? You know, growing up the way I grew up, coming home, no lights, no power, no water, right? I literally remember doing my homework by, I know you remember the pop lights.
Oh yeah.
I remember doing my homework by the pop lights because we didn't have power, waiting for my grandparents to pick me up so I could go to their house to shower. I know that feeling. I carry that feeling with me every single day. And that's why the motivation will come and go whether that feeling's there. But if you just stay disciplined, brother, you can push through it all. I
remember years ago when I started my own firm, right? And then I decided to go 100% at it, right? Because I did it for a couple of years out of my house, right? And then I got to the point where I was juggling between corporate America and my side clients. And when I made that leap of faith, you know, it was so marketing and putting yourself out there was a lot different back then. I'm a lot older, right? So you didn't really have the internet to really help promote a lot of stuff, and there wasn't Facebook and all this kind of stuff, right? So it literally was beating the pavement. Right, getting past the gatekeepers, going into business centers, and let me talk to the CEO, let me talk to the CFO here, let me try to pitch myself to them, let me try to earn their business, and you know, I would do work pro bono at first, just to kind of, hey, let me show you what I can do. If you're happy, you pay me, I'll send you an invoice. If you're not happy, don't worry about paying me.
Absolutely.
And you know, and along the way, you do get screwed by some people. It does happen, but along the way, you also find some really good people, and I did, right? And I remember, Anthony, you know, at that time when I did that, my daughter was a newborn. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And so my wife at that time is my ex-wife now, but she thought I was absolutely crazy. She's like, I can't believe you're gonna. I was working for Total Petrochemicals at the time, running the Federal International Tax Department there.
Yeah.
And so she's like, I can't believe you're gonna leave this good paying job, full medical, 401k. Yeah, you understand, right? Yep. And I was like, I just can't do this. I'm not the corporate guy. And I remember saying every day when I left the house, and I would leave at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I wouldn't come back home till 8, 9 o'clock at night. Yeah, failure was not an option. I wasn't going to come home to my wife and my child and didn't succeed.
Right.
They depended on me. It was single income. That was just me.
Yeah.
And so failure was not an option. And like we talked about, you got to burn the boats, man. There's no plan B. There's no plan C. Mm-mm. Until you feel that grind and you've got to do it, you're not going to get there. And that's what it takes.
Well, and the road to success can be very demoralizing. There's a lot of no's along the way. There's a lot of doors that get slammed in your face. You're talking about beating pavement. My first really good mentor that I ever found, I was knocking doors in his neighborhood like 4 months after I got my license. I have one suit. I'm steaming it every morning to go knock doors. And it's like June and July in Texas, right? And dude, there's so many no's that you get there every day. It's damn near a no, right? And so that can be demoralizing, and that can take a lot of the motivation away. Like, young brokers cold calling, right? Man, that's so demoralizing, But if you just stay disciplined, I'm gonna make 100 calls every day, no matter what. I'm gonna knock 100 doors every day.
What can they do? Cuss you out? Worst case scenarios? Slam the phone down? On
to the next.
Yeah.
No
harm, no foul.
Exactly. Yeah, that's awesome.
What do you do to enjoy? What do you do that you enjoy most about working in real estate? What are those things that you're like? That's what gets my juices flowing.
It's so challenging.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people, like, I have to be challenged all the time. Otherwise I get bored. Yeah. Like when things get easy, I'm like, either I'm doing something wrong or I'm stagnant. It's time to move, right? Yep. It's just so challenging. Every deal is significantly different. I could sell the same piece of dirt to the same buyer, but one's on Monday, one's on Tuesday. It's a completely different transaction. Yeah. There's so many challenges that we face every day. Well, one, just from being a business owner, and two, from just the industry itself. It's a forever changing industry. It's always evolving and moving. And, there are times that you can be perfect, but you might be in a down market. Yeah. You could be really bad at what you do, but it's an up market, right? Like, so there's so many challenges all the time, and that gets me so excited. And I love it. I love being challenged on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. It's so fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that. If you didn't do real estate, what do you think you'd be doing right now?
Man, it's funny, what I always tell people when they ask me this question, because this is what I've done my entire adult life. Yeah. I don't know anything else. I would have joined the military. Okay. And then I would have used my GI Bill to go to culinary school. I love cooking.
I love cooking too, man.
I absolutely love to cook. I'm the YouTube chef, right? Like, I'll find something on YouTube and I'll start cooking it, right? And I would have joined the military. I'm a big gun guy. And then I would have it's the challenge of the military, right? The boot camp and the training and then I would have learned to, like, been a real cook, not the YouTube chef that I am.
I love that. What do you do to unwind in the evening?
I lift. Man. I'm a gym rat. I enjoy the gym. I think that's just it is the challenge again of the gym. Like, those weights don't care if you've had a bad day.
No, they don't.
They're still 45 pounds every time you pick them up, right? Like, the weights don't change. They don't care. Yeah. And it's just a challenge, right? I can go in there on a good day or a bad day and hit a good lift, whether I want to be there or not.
Take your frustration out of things.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a healthy way to get my frustration out, right? And, I was an angry kid growing up, obviously, with a lot of trauma in the household and everything. So when I found the gym finally, because I grew up an athlete playing sports, but it always trickled over because the coaches knew about what was going on at home or whatever. So when I finally got real serious in the gym, it kind of really changed my life too, because I can come in here, good days, bad days, and just get after it. And that's a direct, slow trickle, but with results, right?
It brings you some mental clarity sometimes too. Don't you kind of feel like that as well? When you get off the path and you're not working out, you're not eating clean, right? You kind of feel sluggish mentally, of course, physically, but mentally as well, right? Yeah. But when you're doing the right things, when you're drinking a gallon of water a day, you're eating clean, you're working out consistently, you just overall feel better. You're in a better mood, right? Your endorphins are just kind of firing on all cylinders.
You're more in line, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And my wife will know, like, especially with the newborn, you know, I'm not as active in the gym as I would like to be. I'm a 7-day-a-week kind of guy. And right now I'm about 4 days a week, and that irritates the hell out of me.
Sure.
And she can tell sometimes because I'm so busy. Like last week I had appointments till almost 9 o'clock every single night. And so I'm like, well, I'm not going to go be selfish and go to the gym. I'm going to go home to my wife and help her because she has the baby all day and she works from home.
Yeah.
And she'll be able to tell us you should probably go to the gym. You're being kind of an ass. And I'm like, I'm stressed out. Okay. But, but yeah, I lift, man. And I shoot, you know, I love shooting. I love lifting.
I love that.
And I like a whiskey every now and then.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Maybe one day you and I go have one together.
I am 100% down for that, my friend. That'd be awesome.
Hey, Anthony, I want to thank you for coming on the show today. I hope everybody, this was very insightful. I hope you garnered a lot of information. Anthony, if you wanted to tell the audience just one thing before we close up shop today, what would that be? What type of advice would you give?
It's like my dad advice, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
That's a great question, man. Oh man, what a great question.
Someone just wanting to start out. What would you tell them?
Don't quit.
Don't quit.
It's going to get hard.
Don't quit.
Just get after it.
That's right. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you,
I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Yes,
Have a blessed day, guys. Thank y'all very much.